Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
So we're going to jump on to the Rose and Page card this week. That's the first one, the UFC Fight Night card.
Which you can get on Fight Pass.
Can get on Fight Pass, exactly. See, that's what we're going to lead. It's amazing, all the stuff on Fight Pass. And if you don't have it, I don't want to be friends with any of you.
$10 a month, you know.
Exactly. Bugger all. It's bugger all. So we're going to jump on to a couple of fights that are on this card. I want to quickly mention we got a bit of a homegrown talent going on. Danny Roberts making his UFC debut against Nathan Coy. Kudos to Nathan Coy, though, for stepping up to the plate on a short notice. Nathan Coy as well. He's a Suave veteran. He's been on Strikeforce and Bellator. He knows what he's doing. Danny Roberts, great opportunity. John, it's good to see another Brit coming on the UFC roster, and especially Danny Roberts, because he is an exciting prospect.
Yeah, Danny's got what it takes, you know, in all aspects of the game. So excited to see what he does in the UFC. As you say, it's another UK guy, which is great. The UK guys, I think, have led the charge in Europe for a long time, but there has been a period where a bit of a gap in terms of experience and young blood coming through. But Danny is one of a few fighters that's stepping in and is gonna take that forward, training with the Black Zillions. You know, as you say, bit of time away, but hopefully his eagerness will stand him in good stead. And also, I want to add, like, you can see the strength of Cage Warriors is really sort of proven itself, because even in the tough series, the guys that are left are Cage Warriors lads.
Very, very good at producing commentators as well.
It's a bit wishy-washy.
Sponsored by Black and Decker Fridges.
yeah.
Let's be bad. Yeah.
So next subject. It's great, and I can't wait to see Danny perform really on the UFC stage. It's going to be an awesome thing, because they're having a smaller cage as well for this fight card, and the tough finale one as well. So you're guaranteed statistically.
That won't favour Danny then.
Well, not really.
The smaller octagon won't favour Danny.
No, because he's a boxer. He likes that footwork. But the thing is, you're guaranteed with the action. You're guaranteed possibly then more for a finish. Statistics have shown.
Yeah. We'll see. But no, he's well prepared. That American top team Black Zillion rivalry still firmly there with this contest as well.
Exactly, yeah, bingo. We're going to jump quickly to. There's a couple of fights on this undercard which it blows me away that it's on the undercard. But Aljamain Sterling and Johnny Eduardo, that is an absolutely stellar bantamweight matchup, and I'm just flabbergasted that it's on.
It's a main card fight, that.
I don't understand. Two really good fighters. Brazilian Johnny Eduardo against Aljamain Sterling. I watched him at the open workouts earlier. Kid's slick. Talks well, you know, ambitious. I mean, this could be a bit of a breakout performance for him. He's giving away a lot of experience, but I think he belongs to a great camp, and always exciting to watch.
Yeah, he is, absolutely. Another one to look at, it's the headline act, so to speak, for the prelims. The guy who I really love watching him fight, because he's just a nasty guy. Tim Means against John Howard. Now, I'm looking forward to watching Tim Means in a cage, especially back at 170. At 155, it looked like it was a bit too drawn, but at 170, it just feels it looks a lot better since he's come back up that weight, I find.
Yeah, he's fought at many different weight classes, you know, gritty guy, lots of knockouts and stoppages on his record. I think he lost to Matt Brown, didn't he, in his last outing?
Yeah, he did, yeah. Before that, he was on a 4-fight win streak, you know, he was on fire.
Okay, and there's no disgrace in losing to one of the very best welterweights on the planet, you know. So, yeah, good fight, you know, good fight. John Howard, I think, was it Carl Pendred who he beat last?
Yeah, he snapped. Yes. Yeah, he was on a free fight skid and then turned it around against Pendred.
Yeah, he's a good dude, you know. I met him out in Abu Dhabi. He suffered a really bad nut shot, I think, in that fight from memory. Poor guy. But yeah, seems to have found his range. Looked good against Pendred. Pendred's very difficult, as we know, from his days back fighting on the regional circuit. But yeah, that'll be an exciting fight.
Now we're gonna go to the main card. Okay. Now before Mike, we're gonna do our picks. Right, you got the first fight: Elias Theodore against Thiago Santos. All right. Do you want to go first, Mike? Do you want to do the first pick, or do you want me to do the first pick?
Well, I'm going to go for Elias anyway, but yeah, it's again that's now that I know I didn't know that it was a small cage. It changes things. You know what I mean? It's
Mike to
yeah,
you.
I'm going to go for Elias.
Mike,
he just seems to have it.
Mike to you though. All cages are big.
Oh, dear me.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
I tell you what, no Hobbit died in 6 films of Lord of the Rings, you know.
So,
that says something.
so you're going for Elias, are you, Mike?
Elias, yeah. Elias, whatever his name is. Yep.
Yeah, it's alright. We'll teach you how to speak. It's fine. So what's your reasoning for going for Elias Theodore?
Because I don't think the other guy's going to win.
Yeah, his name's Thiago Santos. It's fine. Yeah, I went for Elias Theodore myself. Partly is that 11-fight win streak, you know, unbeaten, but also since comes he's very unorthodox with his fighting style. He does throw some really just random strikes. He throws heavy. You know, the kid throws hard, but he cuts a lot and he bulks up when he goes back in the cage against Thiago Santos, who, you know, he's had a couple of losses against Uriah Hall, when Uriah Hall had that gnarly little broken toe, and Cesar Ferreira as well. You know, he has won in as well in the UFC, but I just feel that Thiago Santos, he's talking about confidence and going into this fight. I just think Elias is just going to be too unorthodox for him. John, looking at the fight, what about you? What about yourself?
Yeah, Elias has got much better hair.
Yeah, by him. Oh yeah, I think he just wins with that. I think he should just win with that, really.
He's definitely in my top 5 best haircuts in the UFC. Very strong, good thick mane, like it a lot. Good guy, yeah, unbeaten. Both guys like to strike. Theodoro's got a bit of wrestling to his credit as well, but you know, Muay Thai guy versus a kickboxer, but you know, someone who's never tasted defeat inside an octagon or you know, cage. So,
yeah.
So that'd be good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. There's some really good fights on this. Really, really good fights.
The next matchup, Sage in Northcutt against Cody Pfister. I went for Sage on this one. Mike, who you going with on this?
Yeah, I think it's sensible to go for Sage, but it's like we don't really know just how good he is. Yeah, he's got movement and all that, but again, you know, it's like if you smother him, you can stop that movement. You know, it's.
Yeah, I think if you get a high-level grappler on him, you get to see a bit more out of him. I worry that Sage.
I rate Sage's movement as long as he's got that space and he can work. But I feel like if somebody comes in and give him pressure and he may just come because he is a young lad. Or he hasn't got that toughness that you get with age. You know. But again, with youth, you've got that feel of invincibility, haven't you? You know, it's so we'll see what happens. But there's a massive amount of hype behind him, and what with the loss that Ronda Rousey picked up recently, the UFC are going to be looking for people like Sage to sort of take
the attention away, really. But no, I think with Cody, I don't think he's not capable of winning. I just feel like his last win against Cedino, he got a decision win. I wasn't overly impressed with Cody. That's the only thing. I still think Cody's still developing. I do feel if Cody can close it down, he can make it a hard fight for Sage. I think what stuck out for me more was when Sage went to TriStar, and he was really burnt out after a few days of training there. So that kind of, went in my mind. If he had a hard wrestler fight him, how would he handle 15 minutes of someone just grinding him out? But I just feel that he might.
When age comes into it, you know what I mean. When you've got that sort of, that extra toughness that comes with age, and
I just think styles make the match up. John,
anyway.
What have you thought about Sage, John? In the brief 1 minute and a half that he's been in the UFC anyway.
Pretty scary dude, really, isn't he? I mean, looks scary in a handsome, polite kind of way. Handsome mother. She is a lovely looking woman.
And his sister as well. I won't. Yeah.
Very good. Christmas tree was awesome.
What's better, Mike?
I don't know that much information. I just watched the UFC Embedded that is available on Fight Pass for $10 a month.
Your wife doesn't listen to our podcast.
He's a kid who knows success. That's all he knows. He knows success. It surrounds him, obviously. He's never had to struggle for anything. And he's been in a very positive environment all of his life by the looks of things. And that,
he did get dinged out pretty badly once, though, didn't he?
Oh, he got knocked out cold in an amateur bout, yeah.
I watched Cody Pfister at the open workouts, and I don't think both of these fighters are the new breed, young. I think Cody's only a couple of years older than Sage, but the movement of Cody was very linear when I saw him today, and I think he's going to need to really cut some decent angles against Sage to do good progress. But he's a tough kid,
Yeah.
Both are showing lots of promise. It's again a very interesting matchup, but obviously Sage with a lot of hype behind him is a great storyline, and we shall see how it all comes together.
It'll be interesting how he actually handles the pressure of the hype as well.
He's doing. He looks very comfortable with it.
Taking it well at the moment.
Very comfortable.
I want to see.
He's always been so yeah.
I want to see how he handles getting his hair ruffled, because that hair looks perfect every time he comes out with all that gel in. I want to see what happens when someone scruffs it, messes it up.
Anyway, up next is my pick for fight of the night.
I love this man, Jim Miller against Michael Chiesa. Two guys who will always entertain no matter who they're fighting. Who have you got for this one, Mike?
I tell you what, he's been on a bit of a, downturn at the moment. But Jim Miller, I think Jim Miller will find a way. His jits is scary.
I go with Jim as well, mate. I go with Jim. Do you know why? Because I love Jim Miller. That guy, he's got unbelievable high level grappling, and he only falls short against the kind of top level guys. The kind of top 5 guys. But with Chiesa, I find that he's always going to be around that, maybe around a 10. Around a 10 on the rankings, but I think Jim Miller's always going to be within the mix. I do favour Jim Miller. I just think his aggressive style of striking, he's got very good hands and combinations. I just feel that, especially with the way he can mix it up with the striking and transitioning into the takedowns, I do feel Jim Miller's got a stronger all-round game than Michael Chiesa, but Chiesa could definitely pull off.
Michael's got no quitting him. He is as tough as they come, and that plays a big part. But I think the jits will come into play in this.
Yeah, two very talented fighters. Jim Miller looks in great form at the moment. Wowed me with his routines today on the mat. Beautiful stuff. He mixes the kicks in, which you don't see so much from Chiesa. Chiesa's, he's got a very good submission game as well. From a small team over at Sick Jitsu. It's a good fight. Chiesa's got the range, so Jim Miller's got to get in on the inside of that. But Miller's been in there with everyone, hasn't he?
Yeah. It's going to be claret in this one as well, isn't there? I think
there's a lot. Yeah, it's a really nice fight. Looking forward to that one as well.
The main event, we have the ladies up, and we have the Rose Namajunas. There you go. I'll say it slow because it's easier. If I say it fast, I've got no chance.
Pat Barry Barry's other half.
That's why I usually say Pat Barry's bird and and Paige Van Zandt. Okay, Mike, I'm going to pick Paige Van Zandt, alright?
Okay.
And I'll give my reason. Who are you picking, Mike? I reckon you're going to pick Rose.
I'm picking Rose to upset the hype train on this one.
Yeah, I thought you'd pick Rose because you like Pat Barry's now. I'll tell you why. I picked Paige simply because it's her style of fighting which is so off-putting for fighters. A fighter can't get into the cage and get their tempo going simply because Paige is about a centimetre away from your face. She's so constant with her pressure, it just will grind a fighter down. And as she showed it in the Felice Herring fight, you know, it was the perfect example of that style. It's just wore down. She's only lost to Tisha Torres, who is in herself an absolute terror at that division. She is, you know, she is constant with the pressure as well. And I think that Paige, again, she's at a really high level team with Team Alpha Male. I think that what the skill set she's been getting from them people is just something I don't think Rose is going to get. I think Rose as well, I think she's still learning her kind of groove. She's 3-2 in her pro career. Her last win was Angela Hill. I don't know. That's why I picked Paige.
Good matchup this.
Yeah.
Nama Yunus is ranked higher. I like her at distance. I think she's very good. She's very good. She's a very good momentum fighter. Very good in the scramble. She will catch you with stuff for sure. She looked very good to me on the Ultimate Fighter series. I thought she looked very, very good indeed.
Yeah, and got through to the final as well.
Yeah. Paige Van Zandt, you know, she is super aggressive.
Yeah.
She works out with Team Alpha Male. She's gonna be good in that scramble. She submitted a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt as well, so she's full of confidence, and it makes for a great fight. You know, the strawweight division is wide open.
An awful lot more even than people are thinking. You know, I think a lot of the money's going down on Paige, but I think if you've got a couple of spare dollars,
it's a harder fight. This is a harder fight for Paige, I think, with Rose Namajunas in terms of profile in North America and rankings wise. You know, I'm a big fan of JoJo, but in terms of what the rankings are saying and the pressure of the fight in the US,
and Rose
adds another element.
She's got a nice little ground game there as well.
Very good, yeah. She's with some very good. I think she trains with Nate Marquardt.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're not going to get very many better grapplers for mixed martial arts than those brothers.
Yeah, he's a smart man. He's a smart guy. Okay, we're going to go to the next card, which is the Tough Finale. Now, when this goes out, we did not know the result of the Tough Finale, so tough, right? In a sense, we're not going to presume who's going to make it into the final. All we're going to say is go Team GB now, or Team Europe. Sorry, Team Europe. So we're going to start with
Team Cage Warriors.
Yeah, Team Cage Warriors. Yeah, we've got Team Cage Warriors. I'm going to touch on the undercard. One fight that I think is very interesting, and it is Mike Pierce against. They actually haven't put the layout of the card yet, so I've had to make up a makeshift main card, Mike. So get over this one. So I think this is going to prelim. This is going to be the prelim kind of main event. Mike Pierce against Ryan LaFleur. Now, I'm only mentioning this fight because Mike Pierce hasn't fought since that heel hook incident with Paul Harris back in 2013, and Ryan LaFleur, he's getting his first fight back since his first loss was handed to him against Maia. So both of them are coming in with a lot on their, a lot of their baggage to deal with and see how they mentally cope. So I think that fight is really intriguing from that perspective.
Yeah, no, I can. Yeah, it's. I was really high on Ryan LaFleur before he took on Damian Maia, but I think he's had his injury troubles. Like him a lot. Super athletic guy. Mike Pierce is very dangerous as well. These are two people who are kind of spoken of in very high regard, but they've had their difficulties. And I hope these guys come back and have a good run at stuff. But very competitive matchup.
I can't see Ryan LaFleur getting tapped in this one. If Damian Maia couldn't tap him, then that's
okay.
Also, I want to quickly say
you better be quick, lad.
Good on Jason Knight for stepping up and getting that call. So
Yeah.
well done.
Yeah, well, we've had him on a couple of times as well, and he's got Alan Belcher who trains him, so it's not like he's going to be short on a few nuggets in his little arsenal with that man training him. So yeah, my makeshift main card is only 3 fights, but it's all good. Gotta love Joe Lozon, so you gotta have a lot of love for this man. Joe Lozon is fighting Evan Dunham. I'll go first, Mike. Then I've picked Joe Lozon. I think I'll always pick him, no matter who he fought. He could fight the heavyweights, and I'd still pick Joe Lozon.
I mean, you can fight Tyson and find a way to make it exciting. At least he's never in a bad fight. He's picking up bonuses left, right, and centre. And rightly so.
Yeah, the fight against Gomi was unbelievable. That way he just brutalised Gomi, especially coming off that loss against Iaquinta, where he just got mauled. It was incredible to see the way he fought against Gomi. Evan Dunham, though, like, fair enough, he's on a 2-fight win streak. He's turned things around in his eyes, and also he beat Ross Pearson up in Glasgow, and he just literally fought the right fight. Ross Pearson is a nasty striker, so why would you want to stand with him when you know you can out wrestle someone? But Ross Pearson, though, he nearly got I think it was Kimura, he nearly got on Evan Dunham, and I thought, in my head, I was thinking, you know what, if Evan does take Joe Lozon down, Joe's got such a high level of grappling, he will find that submission a lot easier and get it on a lot harder.
Yeah. And he has that freaky power that he just doesn't look like he would contain within himself, because he's not the scariest looking frame in the world, but he creates that power from somewhere, and
Yeah, high level guys, lots of experience, both black belts. But Evan Dunham, I think, can control the pace of the fight a little bit better with his wrestling. But that said, Lozon's dangerous everywhere, and I think he holds the record for the number of performance bonuses as well. You got an exciting. I mean, it wasn't an exciting fight, Ross Pearson versus Evan Dunham. Let's be honest, but Dunham was going in there away from home to get a job done.
Yes.
But if you look on the back of that, you've got a guy who can make fights look quite slow paced and not really, really, really exciting against a guy who makes who's never been in a dull fight. So could be really could go one way or the other depending on who has the upper hand.
Now, I would say this co-main event is potentially fight of the night, but then again, the main event is that as well.
I think the main and co is like a dream come true. Like that is.
It's like party in your pants time, is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, they're fights that you would think. We've been quite lucky because obviously the co-main event wasn't the original fight planned.
No.
We had Khabib who can't stay healthy for 2 weeks, but I think instead we then end up with an even better fight.
I think you've stayed healthier than he has, mate. That's what I think. Edson Barboza against Tony Ferguson. Okay, Mike, who have you picked then between Barboza and Ferguson?
I think Tony Ferguson could go on and actually win the title, believe it or not. I think he's a future champion. He seems to be the future of MMA. He just seems to have it all. His jits is like disgustingly good, 10th planet guy. And his striking is powerful and accurate. What I do worry about is sometimes he does sort of just leave himself open a bit, and engage in wars and take unnecessary risks. But makes it exciting for the public, but the fans. But I'd like to see him stay a bit safer. And against someone like Barboza, I think, who can come out with, all you got to do is ask. The only person that doesn't know how scary he is Terry Etten, because he's still trying to wake up, I believe.
Oh, yeah, highlight real stuff. Barboza's very dangerous, but Tony Ferguson, he'll put it on you from the bell. And when you go back and watch the Michael Johnson fight against Edson Barboza, Johnson shut him down everywhere.
Yes.
He did such a great job that night that, Ferguson is in a similar mould in some ways. So I just worry for Barboza that if he gets it put on him like what Michael Johnson did, then it's a super tough night for him. But
Yeah.
Ferguson's on what? I can't remember if it's like a six-fight win.
6-fight win streak.
Okay. Yeah, and he's taken out some very big names, physically big guys, you know. But I'm not sure if has he faced a striker quite like Barboza? I mean, I don't know.
Do you know what?
Nah, I don't.
I think
No.
it's this fight as well.
He's a 10th planet guy. He's got very good submissions. Really nice work.
And he's got that long frame, you know, that freakishly long frame, you know.
Yeah, no, it's
But I
a
think
really
that's
nice
the way
fight.
sort of MMA's going. It seems, you know, we went from the frames of like the He-Man frames to
It's what
this
I.
long.
You can probably see. You're probably looking at me when you say that. The ultimate physique, which is, you know, I'm getting close to it.
All you need now is to eat a bit of meat.
Long skinny arms and legs.
Eat into your sandwiches, you know that.
No, that's not what's
I'm
going
going
to
to
help
paint
you
some
get
ham
there.
green and give it to you.
We don't need to harm anyone in this progress. But yeah, great fight. It's a great fight.
But if
It
you
is.
haven't weighed yourself, you know, and just fallen into a daze because the fight was so exciting, the main event is like, find me somebody that didn't want this fight to happen.
It had to happen at some point. It had to happen at some point, and it has now. You know, there was no way these guys couldn't have their paths cross. And Frankie Edgar and Chad Mendes, that's just
I mean, I was lucky enough to meet Frankie Edgar earlier, and that guy could still cut to another weight.
He's tiny, isn't he?
He is small, and you know what? He's not even on the scales yet. You know, it's that guy is freakishly small, which tells you just how good he must be.
Well, what you think he's achieved in his career?
You look at Connor, and you know, and then you look at Frankie. It's poles apart, like in size.
Yeah.
You know, so, but having said that, I think Frankie Edgar beats them all.
I think Frankie does as well. I'm with you. I always back Frankie. I think his ethic, his work ethic outside the cage is pretty much second to none. It's very hard to find someone who puts in the work he does with the people he trains with. It's going to be very hard to find someone who matches what he does. And you know, he's on a 4-fight win streak, but then he lost 3 fights before that. I know it sounds weird to say it, but he lost 3 in a row, but they were all title fights, and I don't think he lost some of them title fights, but he did on paper. Chad Mendes. Now, I'm not saying Chad Mendes he can't win this. Like, let's be honest, guys. Chad Mendes, he hits someone, they're going to feel it. You know, Chad. I know Connor said it didn't hurt. Yeah, well, we all know it did. It must have hurt a bit. But Chad Mendes, for me, I think if Frankie can keep that pace that he does on guys, that he has such an unbelievable, relentless tempo. I think Chad Mendes, I think he could wear Chad away. And I think he's too quick with the angles and movement for Chad to catch him.
Yeah, this is a great fight. Frankie's work rate and pressure, never say die attitude, and his championship rounds experience is going to hold him in really good stead for this. I think that Aldo beats him again. There is a slight issue for me in the footwork of Frankie Edgar, and Dan and I saw it. I'm not going to take the credit for it. It's come to my mind. Dan probably saw it, and I'm now regurgitating his analysis. But he crosses his feet over quite a bit in his frenetic movement, and Aldo picked that up, and you'll see how he then offset his balance and was able to get a lot of strikes off. However, Chad Mendes doesn't throw kicks like that. He comes with big overhands.
Yeah.
But he's good at level changing and following up with big power shots. If he clips Edgar, you know, Edgar's must have his armour chinked after all of the battles he's been in. So Chad, you know,
and he has been dropped and hurt, and
he gets back up there. That's the thing.
Oh yeah, he's recharged.
Scary.
Frank Maynard couldn't believe. I think he's resurrected himself so many times.
I thought I was watching the Undertaker in that fight. You know, remember when the Undertaker used to get hit flat and then he just sit up? It was almost like watching that when you saw Frankie Edgar. You just thought, how's he still going?
Yeah, and he's choked out a lion on TV before.
A real one?
A real one, yeah. He choked him out in an advert. I'm trying to be funny, by the way.
Do you feel against that, being a vegan?
Yeah, I'm not into that. I'm not into that animal cruelty stuff. So therefore, but then you've got Chad Mendes, who goes and shoots half the woods.
Yeah.
Worth of anything that runs. So,
yeah.
That's because he likes protein. But...
Yeah. So both of these guys. Yeah. No.
It's like a sick fight. It's that fight that everyone
number one
wanted.
contender, gotta be.
Easy.
Do you know what? It could even be the funniest fight of the week, I think.
Majority draw. There you go.
Now, John, if anyone wanted a more in-depth analysis of this, is there anywhere someone could find anything like this?
There is, yeah. If you go over to the UFC YouTube channel, you are most likely to find Unibet's Inside the Octagon with the wonderful Dan Hardy and his trusty sidekick John Gooden breaking down this and a whole lot more from the December 10th, 11th, 12th Crazy Fight Week out of Vegas.
Oh, that's incredible. Do you know what? I think because I've just found this out, I think we'll have to post these breakdowns on our Facebook page, ladies and gentlemen, for people to watch. That would
be wonderful. You can help us increase our view count well past the 1 million mark.
Oh, you guys are flying on that. I tell you, I will say, ladies and gentlemen, it is really good to watch it. Honestly, do you know what's even better is if maybe you watch a breakdown and maybe miss one of them out. Wait till the fight's happened, and then when you watch it back, you can see how they were actually nailing a lot of it on when you watch the fight. It's really good. Honestly, it's really good to tune into it, folks. Jump on YouTube, like we said. It's
almost like we know what we're talking about.
Almost.
No, Dan really does know what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of knowledge. He's done a bit.
Yeah, he's been around for 5 minutes or more, hasn't he? So
that'll do.
Yeah. If people knew how much work that guy puts in, the hours and hours that he spends going through this stuff, it's phenomenal.
Does it keep you awake at night, does it?
Yeah, every time I roll over and, Dan, please
turn the laptop off.
Put his book out.
Yeah.
Do you know what though? You see it though. You see how excited he gets about it when he's doing it as well. When he's doing the breaking down, you can see it as well.
Yeah.
You see him buzzing.
No, it's good. It's educational in every sense when we're going through that stuff, and he opens me up to all the different smaller details. I think I've got a good understanding, and then he just takes it another couple of levels, and you're like, bloody hell, I've got so much to learn.
Yeah. Well, do you know that's the thing, John? Do you know what you're doing is helping people who maybe don't quite understand the little details. Maybe, on the cage when people have got the one under and one over and they don't understand what's going on, or when it's on the ground and maybe it looks a bit stale, they don't understand those little details. This is what people need. We need something like this to break stuff down so people who don't know can understand the sport a lot better. And I tell you what, it's going to be so beneficial to people who don't quite get some of the smaller details of the sport. I'm all for it.
Yeah, no, I think actually because let's be honest here. It's only going to be the hardcore fans that find this. You're not going to get casuals who are just learning about the sport finding this. And I actually think it plays very well into the more seasoned fan who does understand what's going on, and then they see this. They see the minutiae of detail and the lead up to how it gets there, and that I think is what really gets people excited when they see it coming from an analyst and fighter like Dan. It's great stuff.
Now we're going to go to the last card, which it's a little card with a couple of little fights on.
If you're not worn out by the mass amount of fights that you've already seen, we're talking over 30 fights and all within just 3 days.
I know. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a bit of a. I won't have no social life for the next probably week. I admit that. It's great. Now we're going to go onto this card. We're going to touch on a couple of cards on the.
I understand you don't. Do you have a social life?
No, when I go to Vegas.
Yeah. My imaginary friend. It's my imaginary friend. He's right here. He's been with me all night. He's been talking with me all night. He's here to keep me company.
Yeah, he's trying to get out the door twice.
yeah. He hasn't figured it out. Don't tell him. And my blow up doll. And we're gonna go touch on a couple of fights on the card, on the undercard. I quite look forward actually to the Kevin Lee and Leonardo Santos fight. I think Kevin Lee is one of the guys in the 155 division who isn't quite getting that attention yet, but I think possibly after this fight he probably will get a bit more recognition than he should be.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, it's the guy's underrated, but stay tuned on him. He trains with sound guys. Obviously, clearly, can't do anything but harm him on that one. But it's.
I spotted this guy early on. I think he was on like a scouting report when he was unbeaten, and I looked at his record and was like, "Holy shit, this guy looks good." He beat Mansour Barnawi, who guys might recognise from the European scene, and also JP Reese, who I think fought on Cage Warriors as well. And I think that's how I came across him. He's very, very tough indeed. And then Leo Santos again. It's someone who I know pretty well. Nova União guy, very, very, very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. Did Norman Park and him draw? I think they
did. In Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah, Norman Park and him drew.
It was a bit disgusting. They took the point. Norman was taking a point in the first round.
Yeah, we haven't seen it.
We couldn't really understand for it. He didn't get no warning. He just came in. He was on the ground, boom.
Yeah.
You got to be afraid of anyone that comes out of Nova União.
Yeah.
They're a team of killers. So yeah, good pick for a good fight. That.
Now I'm gonna mention I'm just gonna quickly mention Tisha Torres is fighting. Now the reason I mention her is I think she is a prospect for challenging for the title in maybe a couple of fights. I think she's got a very good set of skills, and I think she's still honing it in. She's at American Top Team as well, so they will be bringing her on leaps and bounds. And I think she's one. And now I'm not going to put down Jocelyn Jones Lebarger. I'm going to say that incorrect probably, but
she's coming on late notice though, hasn't she?
She has stepped in late notice, but the thing is, she's got a very similar style to who I can't remember who the hell she replaced now either. Why can I not remember? Who did she replace? No.
She replaced Watson.
Yes, Karate Hottie. Yeah, Karate Hottie, that's it.
She lost her title before she left Invicta.
So this girl, she's very similar with the style of the kicks, and she's a bit flamboyant with her striking, so it actually works out well.
Yeah, I call it Boston, didn't I? Yeah, Karate Hottie or something.
Karate Hottie, and she's actually got a documentary out. She's just posted it today. She's got a documentary out where she had a film crew follow her for a couple of years. And I'm going to post that on our Facebook page, ladies and gentlemen. So it's probably well worth a watch. Sorry?
Is that Jocelyn? Or is that Jocelyn?
No. Tisha, no, Karate Hottie. Watson. She had a. Yeah. Yeah, she's had a documentary, but just follow her around, following her career around for a couple of years. So do you know what? I quite like the idea of that documentary. It's going to be good.
She's a mother, isn't she? She's married with a daughter, I think. And down at Jackson's, I think she trains. I'll look out for that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and
a documentary on an MMA fighter.
Exactly, and women's MMA as well. It's always nice to get that different spin on it. Now we're going to go to the main event on the prelims. We'll go to that one. So you got a guy who you might not know, ladies and gentlemen, a guy called Uriah Faber. He's an up-and-comer. He's one to keep an eye on. Against Frankie Chanez. Is it Chanez or Chanez? It's a
Frankie Chanez.
Yeah, it just looks a funky one to pronounce for a British lad, doesn't it? But I've got to be honest. I just look forward to Faber fighting anytime. Anytime Faber's fighting, you've got to look forward to, haven't you?
Yeah, with Uriah Faber, you've got someone that you just can't dislike. You know, he is just the absolute. You know, he's the way to treat fans. You know, there's much love for him. Hasn't done too good in the tough house though with these guys, but then again, he can't fight for them. You know, no. So. But yeah, Uriah Faber, he's just.
He's in a difficult spot, is Uriah. You know, I don't know where he goes in his career now. He's all of the different things going on. He has a very busy mind. A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff has happened for him over the last couple of years. And fighting up and comers now. You know, it's interesting how that's positioned. But I think we're all in agreement that he's a hell of a character. I met him out in Sweden, I think. Yeah, nice guy. Always got lots of time for Uriah Faber.
Yeah, this is actually going to be my first time I will see Uriah Faber fight live, and I am just can't wait. You know,
yeah,
he is like I don't know. I think I followed him for longer than maybe virtually anyone else in the UFC. You know, like when you think of the modern, you know, I just much love for him. But I just like, of course, you know. He wants that TJ fight now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know,
that's the money one. That's the dollar one. That's where the money's coming.
I might have called Frankie Saenz a young up-and-comer. He's not a young up-and-comer. He's an older guy. But he's certainly sort of coming up.
I was going to say that before he says otherwise.
Yeah. No. He's on a bit of a tear.
Yeah.
He's an up-and-comer in the UFC sense. He hasn't been around, the promotion for a long time. And he's gone through a decent few guys. We'll see.
Yeah,
see what he comes up with.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with Faber, when he fought Frankie Edgar, even though he lost that and lost it fair and square, you know, he still seemed invincible in that fight, even though he lost.
Yeah.
You know, but. Yeah, I just want to see him fight TJ now because that seems fun.
Sounds like it's a good fight to make.
Yeah. It makes sense on the dollar side of things, but then again, TJ's got to get through Dominic Cruz.
Yeah, that's his toughest fight.
That's one hell of. That's going to be like watching Strictly Come Dancing. That is.
Yep. Anyway, next up,
we're going to
Max Holloway.
The main card: Max Holloway, Jeremy Stephens. Do you want me to go first, Michael? Or do you want to go first?
Well, I think we're all going to. Well, yeah, I'll go first. I'm picking Max Holloway because that guy is just improving. You know, he fights obviously Conor, and whatever you say, he did go the distance with Conor, and you know, and never looked close to being stopped in that fight.
No.
And since then, he's just gone on to amaze people. You know?
I'm going with Holloway too, Mike. I'm with you. I'm with you, Mike, on that one. I've got to go with Holloway, and I think that performance against Cub Swanson was the one that made it. You know, that footwork that he did in that fight, the hands that he had, and the kicks. Like, Cub Swanson is no joke. Cub Swanson's got some dangerous hands, and he looked amateurish. Now, Cub Swanson, to be fair, did just try to do pure boxing when he should have mixed in more kicks, but Holloway just was fantastic. Jeremy Stephens, that dude can bang. Like, that dude hits so hard, but the thing is, I think that Holloway's just a bit too quick for him. I think Holloway's he's just going to be that split second out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, I've always described Max Holloway as like an old man on young shoulders. You know, obviously he's a young man, but he seems to know everything early. You know what I mean? He's got that stuff that comes with
fight IQ.
You know, like comes with maturity and what have you. But he's got it early. He's got it young, and you know, he just seems to improve. And
yeah, so it's old guard, new guard. This one, and the momentum is on Max Holloway's side. Really holding that flag high for Hawaii, and very exciting. But you know, I really enjoy Jeremy Stephens' fights. I can remember back in the day when he ran into the fence in celebration. I was like, I like this dude. But yeah, he's.
I spoke to Max last night, and that guy is enjoying himself.
I'm sure he is.
He's like a fanboy at the moment. He's laughing, enjoying. I mean, he looks like there's no pressure.
It all. He's all right with the whole. He's
You know what I mean?
good at all aspects now.
The confidence seems to be there, and you know, and I think that is important. You know, like he's on the big stage and he's just sucking it up and enjoying it. So
it's got to be careful though. Got to be careful.
Yeah.
Very experienced.
Stay focused. Yeah. Now next up is it's like a grappler's wet dream. If it goes to the ground anyway, we have Damian Maia against Mr. Gunnar Nelson. Hell of a fight, hell of a matchup, especially like you said before, old guard, new. You know, you got the old and the young kind of thing. The transition. Could this be? This is like really for me. This Damian Maia. This is last stab really at going for a run at the welterweight title. I've gone for Gunnar Nelson in this one. Mike, who are you going with?
You know, I'm going for Gunnar Nelson as well. I mean, it's my dream match. It was after. I mean, I said, well, I think. Don't get me wrong. I'm not the only person that's wanted this fight. You know, I think anybody that likes transitioning on the ground and.
Yeah, it's interesting that he gets his fight after. You know. It's an interesting one. He gets to leapfrog a long way up the ladder if he wins this fight.
Yeah.
I've always thought that Gunny was a super talented fighter, and I don't know what happened to him against Rick Story, but he just didn't get started. I don't think the one thing he's got to be careful of. I don't think he's ever fought to win rounds, if that makes sense.
Yes.
He goes out there to finish and win fights. But when you start climbing the ladder, you've got to be a bit careful of those scorecards. They play a big part, you know.
Points in the bank, haven't you?
You definitely have to win rounds as well. So you can't just rely on finishing because it doesn't always go that way. The harder the fights become.
Can you see this one ended up on the ground, or do you think it might just stay in the striking game?
No, I think it will be a bit of everything. I think we're going to see a bit of everything. Probably not too much wrestling.
Well, you might actually see Gunnar actually want to test his ground skills. You know, again.
Why wouldn't you?
There might be that little bit of
the guy beat
ego
Jeff
in you
Monson.
that just wants to.
Yeah, when he was a kid,
Yeah.
essentially. So he's not scared of going out there and he's
Jeff's not the smallest guy in the world.
No, and the thing about, from what I understand and from being around Gunnar a little bit, is he's in this for the competition, for the pure competition, and so I think he'll want to measure himself.
Yes.
It's not an arrogant thing; it's just a curiosity thing, and he will not be afraid to play in any of the ranges. But don't forget that Nelson is a Machida-esque striker as well, and that is a massive asset.
That's what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to point out.
Back in Wembley, I think it was.
Yeah.
And his striking game is actually fairly impressive. Like
Very good.
Yeah, very good for keeping that range as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so
Very good at the range, but he's comfortable in the pocket. I really enjoy his style.
Yeah,
But,
that
Damian
might be
Maia-
what catches Maia out. You see, that style of striking might catch Damian Maia out, especially, with Damian Maia trying to come in to close that gap down. That's when Gunny could probably take advantage with a couple of good strikes. Look what he did to Brendan Thatch, who is a monster at 170. He dropped him.
The thing that makes this fight interesting is since Damian Maia turned to MMA, I doubt anyone has ever tried to submit him in an MMA fight.
No, they probably did. They just didn't get anywhere.
So, whereas in this fight, Gunnar Nelson probably would aim for a submission at some point, whereas everyone else, when they go to the ground, is trying to survive.
Yeah, he mixes it up well.
Yeah, he does.
Gunnar might actually attack him on the ground, which would be like the first time we've actually seen somebody attack Damian Maia on the floor.
Now we've got.
It's a nice fight.
It
Very
is, and
nice
next one we've got is an absolutely insane fight again. What's the point? I might as well say every fight's going to be insane. Jacare and Romero. I don't know what else to say other than just the names. That matchup. Oof.
Do you know what? This is you know what I mean. I feel like I'm just like dreaming when I talk about this card. It's unreal. Obviously, it's there to back up the co-main. You know, because let's be honest, any of these could rightly fight for the title this weekend. You know, they've all got themselves into a position where they would deservedly enjoy, deserve a shot. But
who you going for, Mike? Who you gonna pick?
Oh crikey, I think this is the hardest one to pick out of the whole week.
Stop delaying.
Stop
stalling.
I'm going to go for
Who you going?
Ronaldo, I think, picks it. His striking was fairly impressive, and he's got that ground game, that scary ground game, you know, and he's as tough as they come, you know. He got a horribly broken arm in the World Jiu-Jitsus and just carried on regardless, you know. It's, I just feel that
I've picked Jacare simply because myself. I know Romero is a different level of wrestler, and he's a different type of athlete. But the Francis Carmont fight showed how Jacare could handle a guy who's a big. Jacare is a big lad too, but Carmont is a big 185, and so is Romero. And for me, that really solidified it for me. I kind of thought Jacare can handle guys who are massive because he uses his strength, but what he uses more is technique. So you'll get Romero who'll try to use a lot of muscle on that ground to try and explode out, and you won't get that from Jacare. He'll use a lot of technique to slowly just get from transition to position, and Romero will just burn out.
Yeah, and we have seen Romero's vulnerability as well.
Tim Kennedy fight.
Kennedy basically
the stool again.
Knocked first, you know, and I mean he was out in that fight. He was gone, you know. The corner did everything they could.
He wouldn't get up off the stool. He wouldn't stand up.
Fight.
So what do you think, John?
It's a great fight. Two fantastic grapplers. Wrestling versus jiu-jitsu, and then huge power strikes from Romero, and Jacare's been looking pretty sharp with his strikes as well. So it's a pick'em, isn't it? It's very, very difficult, but both looking very, very calm. Saw them both today. Saw them being interviewed.
I was quite surprised with Jacare. He's not as big as you think.
No.
You know, I thought he was going to be bigger.
Very scary.
Very scary.
Because he uses technique. That's what I mean. He's a technician, and that's why he looks like he makes it look so effortless, because he doesn't use pure strength. He is much into the technique side of things, and you will wear yourself out. You will get tired, and he will just be getting stronger and finding it easier, and that's what he'll do. I think he's just a beautifully technical fighter.
It's but I think we're going to see a big size difference when they come together in this one. And
it always happens when you fight Romero. He's just a gorilla. Next up, got co-main event. Okay. Oh, hell of a fight. It's for this little known strap called the middleweight title. Chris Weidman against Luke Rockhold. Oh man, this is just okay. Mike, I'll say right now, I'm going for Captain America, Chris Weidman.
Yeah, you know, he is to Brazil what bird flu is to China. You know, it's he's basically destroyed Brazilian middleweights, and you know he's got good submissions, good power.
I think one thing that stands out for
confidence as well, that you know when you're unbeaten, you don't know what it is to lose. You only know what it is to win. And
with Luke Rockhold, I think what maybe when I try to look at why no to Luke Rockhold would be it's knowing that AKA do very hard sparring, and he's trained, and when he spars just the likes of DC and Kane, they're big guys, they're hitting hard. Weidman, he trains smart. He also trains with Longo and Sarah, you're not going to go wrong with them guys. But also, Weidman took it seriously with his weight issue. He wasn't cutting as much as he used to in the past. He cut out the beer. He's walking around just over 190 pounds.
Yeah.
He's just in a lot. He's got himself in better condition, and he's taken the role as champ so much more on a serious level than he had before. I think we might see an even better and more improved Chris Weidman than previously seen, and I think that's quite a scary thought to see that.
Yeah, he actually said in there, the way he worded it was, he said, I could spit in a cup and make weight now.
I saw that, yeah.
And, I loved how he said that, But you know what? That might just start to be the future of MMA, it's...
the IV ban, it's the IV ban, it's a big part.
IVs, it's... Why fight, when you're crippled with starvation and dehydration, it's just might be the way forward, and we'll find out on Saturday. But I believe Chris Weidman gets it as well. I know that Vitor was juiced up to the gills when he knocked him out, but he still knocked him out, and Chris Weidman does carry good power.
And John, can we get your view before Mike starts talking again?
Yeah, love it. Love the fight. They're two guys in their prime. Fantastic athletes. Brilliant everywhere. Although Luke Rockhold doesn't believe that Weidman is as multi-dimensional as he is. But we shall see. It's a really, really competitive fight for the gold. Deserving I believe a deserving title shot for Luke Rockhold, but you can, as you said earlier, make a case for any one of the guys and throw Tim Kennedy in the mix as well there. Really enjoying this matchup. Really good stuff.
I think also with Chris Weidman, he has had to tough it out in a couple of fights, really tough it out. Whereas Luke, he hasn't had that recently. Like when he's won easily, which hats off to him for. Good performances. But Chris Weidman, when you think of when he fought
Machida, is it?
Machida, yes. He had to tough that out, and that's good for your confidence to win a fight like that. When you are in the trenches that you can find a way to win.
He also beat the man. He beat the man
Twice. Yes. Twice. And Luke Rockhold said he's not as versatile. I think Chris Weidman hasn't had to be as versatile. That's the thing. You haven't seen everything because he hasn't had to be. If you don't need to do it, if he's probably got it in his arsenal, he's just not need to use it. Now we're going to go to the main event. This is a fight that's possibly the least anticipated fight I've ever heard of. I'm not even that bothered. I know you guys aren't even fussed about it. I know no one's talking about it, but we'll talk about it anyway.
Well, I believe that UFC were actually thinking of rebranding themselves into the Conor McGregor roadshow,
You've got Jose Aldo against Conor McGregor. I don't really need to say much because if you know anything about MMA, you'll know there's 1,000,001 articles about this stuff. Okay, Mike, who have you went for in this one? I know who you've went for, but say it anyway.
Yeah, it's right. It's super tough for everyone out there that just is on that Conor McGregor hype train. It's not that done and dusted, but I am going for Conor McGregor. I feel that what with the injuries, the inactivity of Aldo, it's is he going to be a bit rusty? And fights have become harder for him over the last year or so. He struggled with Frankie Edgar. He struggled with Mendes.
Well, you can say that about the Mark Hominick fight. The fight he had against Mark Hominick. The fifth round, Hominick came on strong and had mount on Jose Aldo and was throwing on him. It's not this.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he still won.
Don't get me wrong.
He still won.
The featherweight division could be renamed as Aldo because he is the guy.
Yeah.
It's
now, Mike. I knew you were going to go for Conor. That's why I went for Aldo. And I went for Aldo. The reason why is because, like I say, he's a champion for a reason. He finds a way to win. And like John mentioned before, which was a very smart comment, was with Gunnar Nelson and not getting the points in the round. Jose knows how to get around. He knows how to win around. Now, I'm not saying obviously Conor could finish, and you know what, Jose could. But one thing that people aren't mentioning, you said about all those injuries. Why is no one talking that much about the ACL injury incident with Conor McGregor?
Yeah.
You know, that's something. Yeah, that on people aren't really putting it out there enough.
Yeah, it came out today. You know, how can you go from, you know, being out for 9 months on an ACL injury to having having nearly snapped the thing again, and you're back within 6. Yeah, we don't know. I mean, this is an incredible fight. This is two very inventive fighters, but one that brings in so many more interesting elements. Very experimental against someone who does the basics to a level that no one else can, quicker than everyone else can, and more beautifully than most people can. Is it right? You know, Conor will go out there and try stuff. You know what it's like, John, when you're training. You try stuff in training and you end up getting caught.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a reason why Aldo is the longest standing champion featherweight. You know, the only featherweight champion for the UFC, the pound for pound best. But Conor McGregor has the X factor.
Yeah.
He gets in people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
He can rile them. He can put them off their game. Whether or not he needs to do that, I don't know. He's left Aldo alone for this for a while.
Do you think he's got in Aldo's head?
Yeah, of course he has.
Yeah.
And the Brazilian people. And therefore, all the Brazilian people have been saying to Aldo for probably the last year,
Yeah.
you know, Aldo, you got to shut this guy up. You got to shut this guy up. So
I think they probably said something else.
yeah, something like that.
The
Yeah.
Brazilians aren't scared to say
Yeah.
No.
to be headed or something like that.
There's a lot of angles to take into this bout. You know, like we said, there's not just two guys going in to fight each other. There is niggling injuries on both sides of things. There is the psychological warfare. There's so much to take into it, and I think that's why it's really hard to have a assertive decision on who you think is going to win. You know, I do sometimes sway over to Conor, but I think that's why I think I go back to Aldo, just because he is the king, and I think he's the king for a reason. He finds a way. And that's why he is the pound for pound, because he's got the IQ to find a way. But anyway, look, it's going to be a hell of a weekend, ladies and gentlemen. You can watch a lot of the fights on Fight Pass. You can watch all the fights if you want to pay for the pay-per-views as well. They'll be on BT Sport in the UK. In the US, they're obviously on Fox. You can just, wherever you are in the world, tune in and watch as many fights as you can, because there's an unbelievable amount of talent. Future stars, there's current stars. You're going to see titles maybe stay at home, or they're going to change, we don't know. John, if I want to go again online and look to see how to get a good breakdown of the fights this weekend, where is it you go again?
You must go to the Twitter pages of either Dan Hardy MMA, John Gooden UK, at UFC, the YouTube channel for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Type in Unibet inside the octagon, and you will get a selection of episodes breaking down the best of what's coming up this week.
That is what people should be doing before the builds. Like I said before, we will put this on. We'll put the fights on our Facebook page anyway, so you can all jump on. Because in case you're that lazy, we'll do it for you. But John, again, it's great having you back. It's great talking to you as always. It's a pleasure having you on. Absolute gent. And mate, what a great time to be in Vegas for you, eh?
Well, you know, it's a tough old gig. Tough old gig, but someone's got to do it, right?
Tough job.
Thanks for having me on again and valuing my little opinion.
No, it's always valued. It's great having you on. And me and Mike enjoy having you with us. Now, me and Mike are going to be back next week to break down the aftermath, is the best way to describe it, of this weekend. And we're going to have some cracking guests already lined up to come on next week. So we're looking forward to that.